A teacher once walked into his classroom carrying nothing but a stack of blank papers, each with a single black dot in the middle. He handed them to his students and said, "Tell me what you see." None of them knew that this simple question would change the way they looked at life forever. They say wisdom doesn't always come from experience. Sometimes it comes from a single moment that opens your eyes to the truth. This is that story, the black dot, how we see life. It was a quiet Thursday morning in a small-town high school in Oregon. The kind of morning where the sunlight filters gently through the classroom windows and the world feels calm until someone comes along to wake it up with a lesson you never forget. Mr. Anderson was a teacher unlike any other. He didn't just teach from textbooks, he taught from life. He believed that true education wasn't about memorizing facts, but about understanding yourself and the world around you. His students loved him for that, especially Emily, a bright but anxious girl who always tried to be perfect, and Jake, a quiet kid who often looked defeated, as if life had already worn him down before it even began. That morning, when Mr. Anderson walked in, the students noticed he didn't bring any books, just a small stack of white sheets. Without a word, he handed one to each student. Every sheet looked the same, perfectly clean, except for one small black dot right in the center. "All right," he said, his voice calm but curious. "Take a minute. Tell me what you see." The students looked at each other, confused. Emily was the first to speak. "There's a black dot," she said confidently. Mr. Anderson smiled. "Yes, what else do you see?" A few more hands went up. "It's just a black dot. Looks like a stain. Maybe a mark from a pen." The classroom murmured with guesses, but every answer was about the same thing, the black dot. Mr. Anderson nodded, his smile fading into something thoughtful. "Interesting," he said. "All of you noticed the black dot, but none of you mentioned the white space around it, the paper itself." The students fell silent. He continued, "This paper represents your life. The white area, that's everything you have. Your blessings, your friends, your family, your health, your dreams. The black dot? That's the problem, the pain, or the mistake you keep focusing on." He held up one of the papers and looked around the room. "But here's the thing. Life is mostly white space, yet we spend all our time staring at the dot." A hush filled the room. Emily stared at her paper, realizing how she'd spent weeks stressing over a failed math test, ignoring her countless achievements. Jake, sitting in the back, thought about how he'd been fixating on his parents' divorce, the one dark spot in his world, while ignoring the people who still cared about him. Mr. Anderson placed the papers on his desk and said softly, "Don't let one dark moment define your life. You are not your mistakes. You are everything that surrounds them." The bell rang, but no one moved. That 5-minute exercise had landed deeper than any lecture could. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She kept seeing that black dot in her mind and the endless white space around it. She thought about how she'd been so hard on herself, always noticing what was missing, what was wrong, what wasn't perfect. So the next morning, she did something she'd never done before. She wrote a letter to herself, listing every good thing she'd accomplished. Her friends, her parents, her love for music, the little things she never appreciated. And as she wrote, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: peace. Jake's reaction was different. He sat quietly in his room, staring at the same paper Mr. Anderson had given him. For the first time, he saw beyond the dot. He thought about his younger sister, who always waited for him after school, about his best friend, who never stopped checking on him, and about the art he loved to draw, but had abandoned months ago because he wasn't good enough. That night, Jake picked up his pencil again. Weeks passed, but the black dot lesson never faded. Mr. Anderson continued his classes as usual, but something in his students had changed. They smiled more. They complained less. They had discovered something simple yet powerful: perspective. One day, during the last class before graduation, Emily raised her hand. "Mr. Anderson," she said, "why did you come up with that black dot lesson in the first place?" He chuckled. "Well," he said, "because once upon a time, I had a black dot of my own." The class grew quiet. Mr. Anderson rarely talked about his personal life. He looked out the window, the afternoon sunlight reflecting in his glasses. "Years ago," he began, "I wanted to become a writer. I sent my work to dozens of publishers. Every one of them rejected me. I started believing I wasn't good enough. I stopped writing altogether. For years, I couldn't see anything but that black dot, those rejections." He paused, then smiled softly. "But one day, I realized the rejections were just a dot. Around them was a whole life waiting to be lived. I started teaching, and that led me here, to you. If I hadn't failed, I wouldn't be here today. And honestly, I wouldn't trade that for anything." The classroom was silent again, but this time, it wasn't the heavy kind of silence. It was peaceful, filled with understanding. Years passed. The students went their separate ways. Emily went on to study psychology. She became a counselor, helping young people overcome anxiety and perfectionism, the same battles she once faced. On her office wall hung a framed paper with a single black dot, a daily reminder of what truly matters. Jake followed his love for art. He became a graphic designer, known for his uplifting, symbolic artwork. One of his most famous pieces was titled "The Dot and the Sky," a painting of a single black circle surrounded by infinite blue. When asked about its meaning, he always smiled and said, "It's about perspective." And as for Mr. Anderson, he eventually retired, leaving behind a legacy of students who didn't just learn from his lessons, but lived by them. On his final day, he walked into his old classroom one last time. The desks were empty now, the air still and quiet. He sat by the window, watching the evening sun paint the walls gold. On the teacher's desk lay a note left by his students. It read, "Dear Mr. Anderson, thank you for teaching us how to see life, not as a black dot, but the white space around it." A small tear formed in his eye as he smiled. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "That's all I ever wanted." They say life is made up of moments, some dark, some bright. But what truly defines us isn't the darkness we see, it's how we choose to see it. When something goes wrong, when life feels unfair, remember the paper with the black dot. The darkness may be there, but it's surrounded by light, and it's that light that makes life beautiful. So the next time you find yourself lost in pain, regret, or failure, take a step back. Look at the white space. Look at how far you've come and how much still remains to be grateful for. Because life will always have dots, but they're just moments, not definitions. The white space is your story, and it's endless. If this story touched your heart, remember this. Focus on the blessings, not the blemishes. You are more than your dark moments. And if you believe in that truth, hit like, comment, "I choose to see the white space," and subscribe to Wisdom Life for more stories that awaken the soul.